let's get down to business and talk all about insulation foam. Lots and lots of it. Mulan Jr. was the production for July. And what you're seeing here are some beautifully crafted foo dogs made out of insulation foam that you can get at Lowe's by our awesome set designer. And so I'm painting them, priming them, coating them with some lovely metallic gold paint, and then adding I don't know, is it a glaze? Is it a wash? What's the definition of ratios? This was about, excuse my dog, he got excited. This is about 25% paint, 75% water. So I'm just sponging it on to kind of help age these a little bit, and then wiping off the excess. So yeah, let's hurry through that because that takes a while. I think I did like a few different shades. One that was more black, one that was more blue, just to give it some variation and to bring out the texture a little bit more. Then I also went in with some green, which you'll see in a second. There's some nice bright green just to give it that hint of wet mossiness that happens on metal. What's it called? Tarnishing? I can't think what it's called. What happens to copper? Anyways, turns green. Patina. That's what it is, I think. So, yep, these were a lot of fun. We ended up adding some jewels into their eyes at the very end, and I added a little bit more designs. But look, more insulation foam. So this is pretty much the only major set piece that was gonna be fixed, other than some big rock. Okay, there's just a lot of rocks. But this is a wall. And so, again, taking a wash of brown paint and having to drip it into all the crevices there, just to kind of get it in there, because insulation foam will really, it takes a lot of paint to cover it. If it's too thick though, it won't fall into each little tiny hole, which you can see there's lots of little holes from cutting it off. Whether you're using acetone or cutting it off with a knife, it just leaves a lot of holes. So you kind of have to have really liquidy paint and get it way in there. So using black and brown as the base coats to get all the shades in there to bring out the texture of each and every single stone. So that took a while, and then because it's so watered down, it takes forever to dry. So pretty much once I'm done here, I have to let it dry overnight, and it drips everywhere. So yeah, that's a lot of fun. But it's still, it's a fun process. It would probably be nice to have a spray gun in the future. So here's more insulation foam, only this time it looks like wood. So we needed kind of a red wood, but I didn't want it to look like fake red. And apparently, if you buy the cheaper quality of paint, the red may not be as red as the paint card is because of whatever the base color is. So the beautiful red color I picked out ended up being like really hot pink, which is fine because really the true primary color is magenta, and all you need to do is add some yellow to make it more of a crimson red, or so that's what I did. Added some yellow, and then I still thought it was a little bit too bright, so was adding the complementary color green in order to trick the eye to see a little bit more gray, but I didn't want to just mix it. So adding lots of layers of yellow and green, and took that out to the theater for a second to check it in the light. Because where I paint is not the same lighting as the stage lighting, so it helps to see it under the real stage lighting. So brighten it up a little bit. Yeah, I feel like it just takes multiple layers before you get it right where you want it. Okay, so back to the wall, and adding just the medium tone that is the base color of the rock. And it's mostly dry brushing so that you're not filling in all the crevices that you worked really hard to fill in the day before. So yeah, brown, adding some tan, and comparing it to the red wood that's going to be right next to it, because I wanted it to, coordinate well. And in my research looking at stone from China that it ranges from gray to sandy colored. So I just kind of found a happy middle ground. And then we had some big foam rocks that were going to be part of the set. So again, base coating those with the black and the brown, and then trying to remember, because this is several days later. Thank you, Whataburger, for sustaining me with caffeine. Since this is several days later, I'm having to remember the colors that I used and the order and the amounts and all that. So there's a little bit of variance, but you know, I mean, it's fine. You don't want everything to be completely identical, because then you lose that depth on the set. So yeah, painting a lot of stones. I was gonna say something and now I forgot what it was. We'll just sit here and watch. Oh yeah, I did all this work on the top and then realized that you couldn't see what I was doing, so don't worry, I changed the camera angle. Oh yeah, so I was working on some other red wood things that were just kind of hang from the ceiling and look really neat. Oh yeah, it was so funny because I was thinking, why do we have so much stonework? But you know, one of the main things about Mulan Jr. is that your destiny is written in stone, but then at the end, you know, it changes to perhaps your destiny is not written in stone. You can, you know, pave your own way. So anyways, yeah, I don't think you saw this on the other one, but this is adding the highlight layer, and again doing the same process to this wood that I did. Again, trying to remember all the different colors that I added and mixes. I did save a lot of them. That's what I have in those containers, saving a lot. And just a lot of dry brushing to add the texture. Hopefully make it look real. So we got the set installed, and then more stones came to me, so I got to paint those. And oh yes, so our set designer created this awesome tree with some PVC branches, and so my job was to make it look like tree bark. And cherry blossom trees have these like sprouts that happen all over the bark, so I tried to kind of create that effect on the bark. And so the white spots you see are just kind of the first layer of that. I end up doing white, and then I do kind of like an orangey brown in the middle, and then some black and gray and all kinds of colors that you can see here, all the colors it takes. And yeah, it ended up looking pretty good in the end. So we actually, you'll probably notice a couple ceiling tiles were missing. We actually end up putting ceiling tiles back up there, and in the end I end up gluing a bunch of cherry blossoms there. So, oh good, I did take a video. So yeah, a piece of pink tissue paper and white tissue paper and some bright pink paint in the middle, and that was pretty much it, but they still took forever to make. I was trying to keep count based on how I cut the paper, but I lost count. It was at least 1,000 that we made, so yeah. So there's my bucket of ready to go cherry blossoms, and I had to glue them all on one at a time by hand. I think it took 12 hours total. I'm not gonna make you watch 12 hours worth of it, but I've got some fast motion that we can watch for a second. Are you bored yet? It was very tedious. So what I ended up using was Gorilla Glue gel, which actually worked really nice. You only had to hold it on for about 5 to 10 seconds. The trick was to not use too much, because if you use too much, it actually wouldn't hold. And just for educational purposes, here is real time putting one on so that you can appreciate how long this process was. And hold it and wait, and I'm counting in my head, and then I let go, and if it stays, then we're good to go. But there were several times that they fell, and I'd have to get off the step stool and pick it up and put it on again. Oh yeah, and there were some dowel rods that were sticking out of the tree like branches, so I basically stabbed my face several times getting up and down the step ladder to work on these. So yeah, just bunched them together and tried to make them look as real as I could. yeah, obviously in the end it was worth it, but it was very time consuming. So because of time and scheduling of spacing in the theater, we didn't really have a chance to do the entire floor. But it kind of worked for this set. It worked really nice just to have kind of a minimal look. But a couple of these extra blocks, I threw some, identical stones on, which was a little bit of a challenge, to make it look close enough to the actual installation foam. So, anyways, I'm sorry it's not a great picture, but here's a final look at the entire set before the production started, and then here is all of our cast on stage. So it was a great show. It was a busy summer though, so I was pretty tired after this one. And parting shot of my youngest daughter dancing with Mulan. Thanks for watching, guys.